So, welcome back, students. Let's continue with the chapter Matters Around Us, first chapter of your chemistry. In the last class, we have studied about the process of changing of state of matter from one state to another state. Okay, so in that we have seen different methods of changing the substances states and interchanging their state from solid to liquid, liquid to gas, or gas to solid. Also in the backward direction, it means that backward from solid to gas, gas to liquid, and liquid to solid. So what were the process? Let's once more we must revise it. So the first process was melting process. Okay, what was this process? The process by which a substance changes from the solid phase to the liquid phase is known as melting process. Okay, and the temperature at which the melting process was carried out, or the change of solid phase into liquid phase was done, that temperature was known as melting point temperature. Okay, that was known as melting point temperature. Okay, now example for here you can take melting of ice. Melting of ice which is carried out at 0 degrees Celsius. So 0 degrees Celsius is the melting point of ice. It is a melting point of ice. Okay. Next, the process of converting liquid back to solid. Okay. The process by which a substance changes from the liquid phase to the solid phase is known as freezing process or solidification process. Okay. Freezing means when we lower the temperature. Okay, when we increase the temperature of a solid, then it melts or it converts to liquid. But when we lower the temperature of a liquid, okay, when we lower the temperature or decrease the temperature of a liquid, then it converts back to solid. Okay, it can be solidified there. So the temperature at which it solidifies is known as freezing point temperature. Freezing point temperature. Okay, for example, water at 0 degrees Celsius solidifies and forms ice. So 0 degrees Celsius is the freezing point of water. Okay, and at 0 degrees Celsius only ice converts back to water. So hence the melting point of ice is 0 degrees Celsius only. Okay, next, the process by which a substance changes from the liquid phase to the gaseous phase is known as evaporation. That process is known as evaporation. Okay, or vaporization. Other name for this process is vaporization. Okay, so in vaporization what happens? Liquid phases boils, liquid boils, and it converts its phase and changes into gaseous phase or gaseous state. Example, when we heat water, then at 100 degrees Celsius it boils and converts to steam. Okay, at 100 degrees Celsius it boils and converts to steam. Okay, so hence this 100 degrees Celsius is the boiling point. Okay, it is termed as the boiling point of water or boiling point temperature of water. It is the temperature at which the water will convert to gaseous state. Okay, the water liquid which is in liquid state will convert to gaseous phase. Okay, so boiling point temperature is the temperature at which a liquid converts to gaseous phase. Next, the reverse of evaporation or vaporization, that is condensation. Okay, here the process by which a substance changes from gaseous phase to the liquid phase is known as condensation. So as like in freezing and melting point, okay, freezing and melting, the as we were increasing the temperature, melting was happening, and as we were decreasing the temperature, freezing was happening. Okay, similarly, when we increase the temperature, liquids converts to gases under evaporation process. But when we decrease the temperature, then the gases will come back to its liquid phase, and that process is known as condensation. That process is known as condensation. Okay, and the temperature at which it condensates, okay, it condenses, that temperature is known as liquefaction temperature. Okay, liquefaction temperature. Next is the sublimation. So in this process, first, before sublimation, I would like to make your attention towards one more thing, that solid first converts to liquid, and then liquid converts to gas. This is the general way of conversion of phase. Okay, for conversion of state or conversion of phases, the general way is this, that solids will convert to liquid, and then liquid on more heating, then liquid will convert to gases. Okay, and the same way will be done in the either side also, either way also the same thing will be done. The gases will convert to first liquid, then they will be converted to solid. Okay, but some of the solids are having the property that on increasing the temperature, they directly converts to gas, or some of the gases on lowering the temperature directly converts to solids without attaining their intermediate liquid state, and this property and this process is known as sublimation process. So the definition becomes here: the transition of the solid phase to the gaseous phase without passing the intermediate liquid phase is known as sublimation process. Okay, this is known as the sublimation process. And for sublimation, the condition which is required, that the temperature must be increased for in order to convert the solids directly from gaseous from solid to gaseous state, and the temperature must be lowered in order to convert the gases from gaseous to solid state. Okay, some example are camphor, okay, and naphthalene balls. These are some of the examples directly which directly sublimates. Okay, it directly sublimates. Okay, so this was for the revision of the part which we have carried out in our previous lecture. Now let's move to the next part of our chapter. Before going to latent heat, I would like to make your attendance or bring your attention towards some of the points, that what is heat or thermal energy of particles. Heat of particles or thermal energy of particles. Okay. As I have told you, solids have closely packed particle structure. The particles of solids are very closely packed to each other. Okay, like this, they are closely packed to each other. Not very much space is between them. What is the reason behind this structure? While in case of liquid, what was there? They were loosely packed, means some space was there between them. Some space was provided between them. Therefore, they are called as loosely packed. It is closely packed. It is loosely packed. and last is the gases. The particles are very far away from each other. Okay, they are very far away from each other, so it means very loosely packed, very loosely packed. So here, the reason behind this closely packed, loosely packed, or very loosely packed condition is that the particles of any substance, let it be solid, liquid, or gases, they vibrates or they oscillates or vibrates. Okay, vibration, you know about vibration, that when a body moves to and fro regularly about its mean position. Okay, means for example, if I have stretched out a ring, I have stretched out a thread, I have taken a thread and I have stretched it, and I have make a disturbance at one of the end, then the thread will move like this. It will move like up down, this, like it will move down, and it will travel, this movement, up down movement, will travel from one end to the another end of the thread. So here you can see that the particles, if I am considering here this particle, let me convert the color of my pen. If I am considering a particle here, then this particle will move one time up and this particle will move one time down. Okay, but its mean position here is this yellow one. This yellow colored position is its mean position. Okay, so about its mean position means its position of rest when it was having no motion, that is its mean position or the initial position. Okay, so about its mean position, it is one time going up and one time going down. So this motion is known as vibration. This motion is known as vibration. Okay, so every particle can vibrate. Every particle has a property to vibrate about its mean position. Okay, but in case of solids, as you can see that not very much of the space is provided here. Every particles are having very much less space, very less space there is been between two particles. So hence they does not vibrate highly, they cannot vibrate very much. While in condition of liquids, they are having more space as comparison to that of the solids, so they can vibrate more as comparison to that of the solids. While in case of gases, you can see that very much spaces, means between two particles a large distance is there, so they can vibrate easily to a larger extent. They can vibrate easily to a larger extent, or they can move randomly to a larger extent. Okay, so this movement of a particle causes formation of some energy in them. Okay, formation of some energy in them, and generally this energy, the energy, is carried out, or it is seen in the form of heat energy only. It means that each particle of every substance, let it be solid, let it be liquid, or let it be gases, each substance is having the particles of each substance are having some amount of heat energy in them, and this heat energy or thermal energy okay, can be increased or can be decreased. Okay, can be increased or can be decreased. If I am giving heat from outside, then the particles will absorb this heat, and the internal heat energy or the initial heat energy which was possessed by them, it will naturally increase. And due to this, what happened? Due to this, the vibration between them, the vibration which was possessed by them, which was lower because of low heat energy, now as the heat has been increased out there, so this vibration will also increase. And due to this reason, what will happen here? The particles will start to move away from each other in order to avoid any collision or any dashing between them. Okay, collision means to dash against each other, to dash against each other. To stop this thing, what will they do? They will make a distance between them. And you can see now that if they are making distance between them, then what will happen? The solids particles has become like that of the liquid particles now. It means that solid has converted to liquid state. So this happens when in reality we heat liquid, or we heat gases, or we heat solids. Okay, when we heat solid, the particles of the solids get far away from each other, and this make them to change its state from solid to liquid. Similarly, when we heat liquids, the particles becomes more distant from each other. Okay, they become more distant from each other, and hence they became, as you can see that now the particles are seems of liquids are seeming like that of the gaseous state. Okay, so hence the liquids converts to gaseous state. So this is the application of heat. When we provide heat to a substance, either it be solid, liquid, or gas, then this happens that the heat, the thermal energy or the heat energy which is processed by the particles increases, due to which they vibrates more, and hence the space between the particles increases and their intermolecular space increases, and due to this reason they change their phases or they change their state. Now this heat which has been absorbed by the particles, okay, this heat is known as the latent heat, and we are going to study about this heat only, and for that only I have taken you to this part. Now let's continue with the latent heat. What is this? That heat which was absorbed there na, for converting or for changing the state, okay, by increasing the gap between the particles, is known as the latent heat. So the proper definition of the latent heat is defined as the heat or energy that is absorbed or released during a phase change. Okay, it is absorbed or released during a phase change of a substance without changing its temperature. One more question arises here: what is temperature? Okay, what is temperature? There must be a question in your mind that what is temperature. So let's deal with that also. Temperature. So at your home you must have used that thermometer, है ना? In thermometer you have seen that the mercury, or if you have used that new modern thermometer, then it is directly showing the digital values. But in the older thermometer in which mercury was used, there what was happening? The thermometer was looking like this, something it looks like this. Okay, and inside it you will see a small tube is there. Okay, and here a silver colored material is filled up. Okay, a silver colored material is filled up here. You have seen this thing, a silver colored material is filled up here. So when we keep this bulb, this part of the thermometer is known as the bulb. Okay, this part of thermometer is known as the bulb. We call it as bulb. So when this bulb is kept in contact with any other part with whose temperature is to be measured, then if the temperature of that particular part is higher, then what will happen? Then the mercury or the material which is used here, it start to rise. Okay, it start to rise in this tube, and it stops at a particular point up till where the temperature of the object is there. Okay, and here you will see some of the readings are made about like this. Readings are there, and by using this we read the amount or the temperature that particular body or that particular object is having. Okay, so The material which is used here is generally the mercury. Okay, in Hindi we call it as para. Okay, it is mercury. And the points which is shown here in this scale, this is known as the temperature. This is the temperature. So the definition of temperature becomes like this: the measurement of the measurement of hotness or coldness of a body, the measurement of hotness or coldness of a body by using a thermometer is called temperature. Okay, this is known as the temperature. Okay, so here, as I have told you, that at constant temperature, okay, means the temperature is not changing, but the energy is been absorbed or is been released out. So this heat which has been absorbed or released out without changing the temperature is known as latent heat. It could either be from a gas to liquid or liquid to solid and vice versa. It can be phase change for any of the case, from gas to liquid, liquid to gas, from liquid to solid, solid to liquid. Okay, it can be any of the process. Now, according to the processes, as we know that there were two processes. One was melting, and one important process was evaporation, or other name was vaporization. So on the basis of these two processes only, we have classified the latent heat. There are two types of latent heat here. First, the latent heat of fusion. Okay, the latent heat of fusion. In this, the classification of or the types of latent heat, the first is the latent heat of fusion, which is classified on the basis of the process. That is, one is the melting process and one is the evaporation or vaporization process. So first is the latent heat of fusion. So what is latent heat of fusion? The amount of heat required to convert 1 unit amount, okay, of a substance from the solid phase to the liquid phase, leaving the temperature of the system unchanged, is known as latent heat of fusion. Okay, once more, the amount of heat required to convert 1 unit amount of a substance from solid phase to liquid phase. Okay, we are converting here a solid to liquid. It means that it is a melting process. Okay, so for melting of a solid, the amount of heat required to convert its phase without changing its temperature, okay, without changing its temperature of the system, is known as latent heat of fusion. For example, I am giving you an example for the changing of ice. Okay, let's see, it will make you more clear about it. I have taken ice. Let's say I have taken ice. Okay, when the ice was in the freezer, then let's say its temperature was -2 degrees Celsius there. But when I have brought it out in the open in the room temperature, then let's say that it has attained 0 degrees Celsius. But after bringing out ice readily outside, you will not see a radical change, that it will suddenly convert into water. What will happen there? It will take about 2 to 3 minutes to start to convert to water. Okay, and if you have taken out a temperature measurement instrument here, as say you have taken out a thermometer and you have attached it to the ice, you will see that for this 2 to 3 minutes during conversion of ice to water, the temperature of water is also 0 degrees Celsius and the temperature of the ice is also 0 degrees Celsius. It means that the temperature is not increased out here, as you have bought it in the room temperature. Okay, and room temperature in general, it is a time, presently it is a time of summer. So in general, it is presently 32 to 33 degrees Celsius normally. Okay, so at this high temperature also, you will see that the temperature change of ice has not taken place here. So what is the reason behind this? The reason behind this is that here the latent heat is being used out here. Okay, the energy or the heat which is absorbed by the ice here. Okay, it means the particle of ice would be very close packed, means the water's molecules are very close to packed, very closely packed to each other here, like this. Okay, like this the packing was done and they were very closely packed to each other, like this. When we have the heat which is taken by the room temperature or by the room, the heat which is given to these ice particles, here what will they do? They will use that heat not to increase their temperature but to increase the intermolecular space between them and to convert them and to convert the solid state into liquid state. Okay, hence that energy is being converted into thermal energy of the particle, not in the heat energy released by the particle. Okay, so hence here we can see no change in temperature while the state is being changed out here. So this is your example for the latent heat of fusion. Okay, this is the example for your latent heat of fusion. Next is the latent heat of vaporization. Okay, latent heat of vaporization. As I have told you that this classification of latent heat is based on the two processes, evaporation and the melting. So melting process we have studied out. Now the next process is the evaporation or the vaporization process. So here what happens? The latent heat of vaporization is the amount of energy that must be supplied to the system. Okay, that must be supplied to the system to convert a unit amount of substance from the liquid to the vapor phase. Okay, to convert the liquid to the vapor phase without any change in the temperature of the substance, without any change in the temperature of the substance. So let's take an example here in order to clear this more. Here one example is I am taking, let's say I have taken a utensil and in this I have taken water. Okay, I have taken water. I have taken a utensil and in this utensil I have taken water. I have taken water here. Okay, and I am using fire here to increase the temperature. I am supplying heat here to increase the temperature. Okay, I am supplying heat here to increase the temperature. Now, as you can see here, water is present here in the whole utensil. So, slowly the heat will be increasing here. So what will happen here? The lowermost part of the water, the lowermost layer of the water will be at the lowest temperature here. Okay, will be at lowest temperature here. But a question will arise in your mind that, sir, as it is very near to the heat, so the heat source, then the temperature must be higher here. But no, the lowest temperature will be present at the lowest part only. The reason is that due to the pressure of the liquid which is present upper side here, due to this reason the particles will be very much densed here, and due to this reason the absorption of heat amount will be very much less here, so the temperature increase will also be very lower here. Okay, as we will go upside, the temperature will increase, and at the uppermost part the temperature will be highest, that is for water which is the boiling point, that is 100 degrees Celsius. Okay, so at the uppermost part or at the uppermost layer only the boiling is occurring which is done at 100 degrees Celsius, and after boiling what will happen? steam is produced out here. Okay, here the steam is produced out. So when you measure the temperature of the liquid at the uppermost water at the uppermost layer, then you will get that its temperature is 100 degrees Celsius. And the steam which is formed, if you are measuring its temperature, then you will see that its temperature is also 100 degrees Celsius. Okay, so here you can see that water is converting or is boiling to steam, but their temperature are same here. No change in temperature is seen out here. So this is because of latent heat of vaporization. The same funda which I have explained you before, that this heat is used to increase the intermolecular space of the particles of waters to convert it into gaseous state. Okay, so this is the latent heat of vaporization. One more last topic I would like to explain you here is that latent heat of sublimation. Okay, so latent heat of sublimation is pretty much a different thing, because there a large amount of heat is required. Means the particles of solids generally they are called as volatile solids. Okay, this type of solids are known as volatile, particles of volatile solids. Volatile means very naughty ones. Okay, means they are very if they are excited now, so at very little excitement only they can react very highly. Okay, so that type of solids, volatile solids, when heat is provided, then their particles or their molecules or their atoms readily absorb this heat in large amount, in very large amount, and they use this heat to convert into thermal energy, and the particles are highly separated from each other. Okay, they are highly separated from each other to convert from directly solid to gaseous state. Okay, they directly convert from solid to gaseous state, and this type of solids are known as volatile solids, because the particles are very much rigorous. Means they are having a very rigorous state. If they are provided with very little amount of heat also, so they will absorb that heat in very much higher value, and they will convert directly from solid to gaseous state. So the amount of heat which is absorbed here to convert the state of the substance from direct solid to gaseous without changing the temperature here is known as latent heat of latent heat of sublimation. Latent heat of sublimation. Okay, so these were the latent heat. Okay, all the three types I have explained you here about the latent heat. In the next class, as we have done here about the melting process, freezing process and all this, and also latent heat, which is one of the important part of your chapter. After this, in the next part, we will continue with some of the question answer, and after that I will provide you with the notes also. Okay, so for today I am stopping it here only, and we will continue our next part in the next class. So be safe and be at your home. Thank you for watching this.